Hi everyone, let's have a look at how Wu tries to defend prayer and precognitive dreams.
Argument 21. The skeptical explanation for answered prayers, selective memory, and coincidence. Stated as, prayer only works because you selectively remember answered prayers but not unanswered ones, which are all due to chance and coincidence. While this theory may be true in some cases, it does not explain every account of answered prayer.
Once again, you're misrepresenting the argument. This isn't an attempt to explain all apparent accounts of answered prayer. Some accounts could be lies, for example. Some might even be genuine answered prayers, even though many indeed are coincidences. The point is that we don't know that. Skeptics aren't stating as fact that prayer does not and cannot work. We are responding to the claim that it does work. The burden of proof is on the side making the claim.
There are several counter-arguments to this and compelling evidence that prayer works as well. I will also give you my own theory on how prayer works.
If it qualifies as a theory, I will eat my mousepad.
1. First of all, we don't even know what a coincidence really is, or even if it really exists.
Coincidence. Noun. 1. A striking occurrence of two or more events at one time, apparently by mere chance. 2. The condition or fact of coinciding. 3. An instance of this.
It's just a term to define something that behaves unpredictably or doesn't behave according to a pattern that we can see. According to physicist David Bohm, there may be two kinds of order in the universe, implicit and explicit. See his book, Wholeness and the Implicate Order. Things that appear random may in fact contain a higher degree of order that we cannot perceive.
Oh, okay, I see where you're going. I'm a strict determinist. I believe that everything is determined by natural laws and at macroscopic scales where quantum weirdness cancels out. That means that if the exact same situation occurs again, it will have exactly the same outcome. An apparent coincidence is thus in fact inevitable. However, this does not change the fact that two events can occur around the same time despite being causally unrelated to each other, and that's what makes it a coincidence.
2. Second, as I heard one preacher said, if answered prayer is coincidence, then there sure are many more coincidences that come up when I pray than when I don't pray.
How was this determined? Did he write down all coincidences when not praying and then repeat the same situations with the sole exception that this time he prayed? I doubt it, but even if he did, how did he adjust for his own bias? The record should be written by another person who is not aware of whether the preacher prayed or not. Also, to establish a causal link, we can't just use a sample size of 1. This is nothing more than an anecdote. You said that these were counter-arguments and compelling evidence.
For spiritual or religious people, praying results in a higher rate of coincidences that help manifest the desire or wish, often higher than by ordinary chance.
So you say. So they say. I'm sure they even believe it. The question is, why should I? Why should anyone? Where are the double-blind studies that confirm this?
Of course, there are countless anecdotal accounts of prayers answered in miraculous or sometimes humorous ways.
So in other words, you have absolutely no evidence.
Amazingly, there are those who get almost every prayer answered because their motives come from a pure heart that is in tune with the values of their faith.
Really? Care to back that up?
What this means is that Christian prayers seem to get answered a lot more when they ask for things that a Christian is supposed to want. Same with prayers from those of other religions.
Again, care to back that up?
This has been the case in my own experience as well. When I was a devout Christian at 14...
Blah blah blah, anecdotes. You said compelling evidence.
3. Third, based on conversations with some Christian friends of mine, I have found that God doesn't just answer prayer through coincidences.
Whoa, hold on. How can a prayer be answered through coincidence? What you're doing here is interpreting the prayer not being answered, but your request instead being fulfilled by coincidence, as the prayer being answered. That's the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, declaring that's what I was aiming for after you clearly missed the mark. Also, based on conversations with some Christian friends of mine? Really? A friend told me? Again, you said compelling evidence.
There is a more amazing type of answered prayer. Often, as in my own case above, a prayer is answered with the help of other people who themselves don't know why they are doing what they're doing, as if they're hypnotized.
Most Christians would probably say that's impossible since they believe in free will, but again, you're interpreting whatever outcome you get as your prayer being answered.
Fourth, recent studies on prayer done by Duke University and others have revealed the effect that the power of prayer has on those who are critically ill. Double-blind tests done have shown that those who were prayed for recovered much more quickly and at higher success rate than those not prayed for. As one of Duke's own articles summarized.
Oh, really? Well, guess what? The link is dead. And when I look for Duke University prayer studies, I find that the Mantra 2 study, which you're citing, got a null result. At least according to the actual published paper from the Lancet, but I guess I should trust a dead link over what the scientists who carried out the study wrote in a respected medical journal.
5. Fifth, in my experience with prayers, it seems that prayers from a selfish nature tend to get answered less than when they come from a desire for what is right and best for all.
Another anecdote presented as compelling evidence. Why am I not surprised?
My own theory on how prayer works. Now, you may be wondering how prayers and miracles could be real supernatural phenomena, yet the religions behind them not true. How could you harmonize that? Well, there are other explanations that theoretically harmonize them. As we all know, in New Age quantum theory, thought creates reality in a universal sense, even though in our dimension, this principle is reflected much more weakly and slowly than in other dimensions.
To my knowledge, there has never been any evidence to indicate that thoughts create or directly affect reality in any sense, and I don't see you even attempting to provide any. This theory is absolute bullshit.
Therefore, when a group of people gather for a single purpose, they create a certain energy field between them that makes their power stronger.
Citation needed. I was right. This isn't a theory. Theories are supported by evidence. As expected, I won't be having mousepad for dinner.
Argument 22. The skeptical explanation for precognitive dreams, selective memory, and coincidence. Stated as, the explanation for precognitive dreams is that you selectively remember the dreams that come true, but not those that don't, and attribute it to precognition. This is a standard cop-out that basically says if we can't explain something where it doesn't fit into our paradigm of reality, then it must be due to coincidence.
No, again, you're misrepresenting the argument. The problem is, once again, that we haven't eliminated coincidence, which fits perfectly into a model of reality that works. And since the alternative simply doesn't fit into this model, and is supported by absolutely no evidence whatsoever, then why even consider it? I'll be happy to consider it when there's evidence to support it, but at this time there simply isn't any.
To declare that with an absolute certainty requires that the skeptic have infallible, omniscient knowledge of the universe.
I agree, which is why skeptics don't claim absolute certainty.
They certainly don't have that. Therefore, they are not qualified to declare what is a coincidence and what isn't.
No, lacking absolute certainty does not mean being unqualified to make declarations about what constitutes the best explanation given the information currently available, which is what skeptics do. Enough with the straw man.
Logically, they should just say, I don't know. But as we've seen time and time again, they are prejudiced against admitting that they don't know something due to their fear and psychological block against the mysterious.
You don't know what logically means. And skeptics always say they don't know when they don't know. I don't know is the starting point for every skeptic. Can you please stop misrepresenting the position you're arguing against?
They hate mysteries and can't tolerate their existence, so they need to explain every mystery away.
Do we hate mysteries? Well, in fairness, I guess some of us do. I mean, we want to understand our reality, and mysteries get in the way of that. But other skeptics love mysteries because they offer a chance to learn something that was previously unknown. Either way, our desire to understand is what drives us to solve mysteries. Not explain away, solve.
That's their philosophy. but it's not logical unless you're going by their hijacked definition of logic, which supports their warped philosophy. Again, they are making unqualified declarations due to their prejudices and biases, not objectivity. Here's an example of a compelling precognitive dream cited by Larry Dossey, MD, author of The Power of Premonitions.
Blah blah blah, a detailed dream came true.
As you can see, this is a compelling case, highly suggestive of our occasional ability to glimpse forward into space and time.
Yeah, I have to be fair here. You did say it was an example, so I won't count it as a fallacy. I will point out, however, that anecdotes are not evidence.
Besides, we don't know that much about where dreams come from and what they mean, to assume that they're nothing but random thoughts and images. We understand how people dream, but not why. Skeptics again are inadvertently claiming to know too much to declare something false or coincidental.
And we're back to the strawman. Also, I'm sick of this particular strawman, so...
In addition, the fact that there is convincing evidence for psychic phenomena in general, such as telepathy from the numerous labs that did the Gansfeld experiment, psychokinesis from Princeton.
And we end with yet another ad nauseum. No, those experiments still didn't show anything of the kind. See you next time.